righty. Well, I want to thank everybody that's joining us here today on Service Loop. To let everybody know, this is an interactive discussion. So if you have any questions for Yennifer or want to add anything, feel free to comment and we will get to you. Yennifer, thank you so much for joining us today. And can you give us a little bit of background on Hyosung and your current role there?
Hi, well, thank you for the invitation. I'm currently a field service manager in Houston. I started here a few years ago, and I started as a field service engineer, and it's been a little bit of a journey to make it to field service manager right now.
I'm sure. How did you originally start in field service? Like, where did that journey start for you?
Well, I have quite a few years already since I was pretty young. My dad is an engineer, brought me to this tech world really young age.
Mhm.
So I started like everybody, pulling things apart, fixing computers. Then I moved to do CCTV network. And when I moved to the US, I got the opportunity to start to work in this company. It was a product I never worked before,
Mhm.
but I was willing to learn the process with them.
Nice. And talk to me a little bit about that. You said your dad brought you into this. Your dad was an engineer. What age did that kind of start for you?
Well, as far as I can remember, he brought a computer, those old ones that make sounds when they were trying to connect to internet.
Yeah.
Um, and like I guess my generation, like you had to kind of like be involved with computers. So my dad brought me to, the first computer was those massive ones that you have to
Mhm.
assemble. And from that point on, like I broke the computer a few times, and like putting like downloading things,
Yeah.
downloading music,
LimeWire. No.
viruses coming with it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good that he brought me to like, okay, well, you know how to break it. Let me teach you how to fix it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really good start to a journey, especially coming like from a father to a daughter. So, was the journey from field service engineer to field service manager, how was that for you? Was it an easy transition? Was it something that you had to work towards? How was that journey for you?
Well, I guess you never stop learning, right? You never
Right.
stop studying.
Hmm.
So being in the field was something that I liked. Like I hated to be in an office all day long.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't easy when you are a woman in an area that is dominated by men. You kind of have to perform better. You have to
Yeah.
always prove yourself that you can do it and you can do it better, or you have to work as twice as hard so they can see, okay, she can be one of us.
Right.
um, so I saw a few things when I was in a field service engineer, that I said, well, maybe I can do maybe this better.
Yeah.
But I needed some guidance. Uh,
Hmm.
I do have, I did have a few mentors that dedicated time and effort to make me better and made me a good manager.
Hmm.
And that I appreciate a lot, because it was a lot of long hours and a lot of long meetings.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
sure. Yeah. And what would you say are the benefits of coming from a field service engineer, like working up that ladder to a field service manager versus just jumping straight into being a field service manager? Like, what are the benefits of that?
I think you earn your respect from your
Mhm.
team.
Right.
When you come from the bottom and you escalate yourself the way to the top. um, you know that job. When you are already a manager, you know what it means to be an field service engineer.
Right.
And you get to see things that probably behind a computer you don't see. So when you come straight to a company and you are just a manager, but you don't you never went through like being outside in like extreme weather, right?
Mhm.
You know, working in holiday seasons that probably, you know, you wanted to spend time with your family, but our job never stopped.
Right. Yeah.
um, you know, carrying heavy stuff, driving long distance, traveling without notice because we need to keep our organization moving. But it's easy to say it, but when you leave it, you have more empathy for your
Yeah.
technicians when you
Right.
become a manager. So I keep that always in mind. You know, when I see my technicians struggling right now, I remember that I was in those shoes,
Yeah.
and it creates me like a different point of view when I try to handle problems in my current position.
Absolutely. I think that's nice because, like you said, you can relate to them. You know what they're going through in their day to day. And so you have that empathy for them when they are struggling or you're seeing, maybe somebody's not doing as well. You've been there. You've been there. So yeah, that trust is foundational, especially when it comes to field service with them being out all of those hours. So 100% agree with you there. What would you say, Yennefer, is your leadership style with your team?
I would say it's pretty unique.
Okay.
Um, I hate micromanagement.
Yeah,
Um, I believe that model just destroy the trust, and it creates more work for the manager.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I have I have as of right now 40 plus technicians under my management, driving to different directions and from different states, having to run X amount of tickets daily. If I'm gonna be like watching how long, you know, they spend in each machine, what time they arrive, what time they left, and just micromanaging every step of the way they do, I will just spend all day long as a GPS instead of like do
Yeah.
my job as a manager. That is
Right.
that for me is create processes, create reports, create innovate with new things. How we can make their job and my job easier. I'm all about trust. If they tell
Yeah.
me I'm here, I believe it. You know, if
Yeah.
they said I spend X amount of hours, I believe it.
Mhm.
And that also creates freedom for the FSCs because they know, you know, that they are doing the right thing. So it relieves some work from me and some pressure from me and also from them because they know they're working with somebody that is trusting them and they perform. It actually is not just me saying good words and making things up. They perform and the
Mhm.
numbers show, and it's not when sometimes I get recognized that, wow, you know, great management, or you know, like your team did awesome. I give the credit to
Mhm.
because I'm not the one running those tickets. I'm just the one supervising. Things are going smooth, but
Yeah.
they are the ones who have the heavy weight.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of times, and I've said this numerous times to other field service leaders, is that I feel like field service is always the back burner. They're not, and they're the forefront, right? They're the ones that are speaking to the customers daily. And so to give your team that recognition and understand that it's really them doing the work is pivotal. And how do you ensure that your team is continually growing? Do you have like programs, tools? What educational things are you doing to make sure that your team is continually growing?
Well, as I said before, I try to innovate stuff.
Hmm.
There are things that they're not probably as a company we don't have it yet, but I create proposals and I say, hey, you
Yeah,
know, I believe we can try this and see if this work. What about if we invest? Because I always want to invest in my people because I believe they will invest in my customers.
yeah,
So we have this year we have, you know, we've done like virtual training, and I also like to recognize my technicians to kind of keep them motivated.
right.
I think that's really important, and sometimes leaders tend to forget that.
Yes.
Yes, we always say thank you, but sometimes a little more than a thank you can create a big impact. So I try to always go and, okay, play with a budget, make a proposal, maybe do a monthly recognition, or like if somebody go above and beyond, maybe like offer a dinner, or just like see your team face to face. Maybe one day, hey, I'm gonna visit this team I haven't seen it in, because I'm located in Chicago, but not all my teams are my technicians are here. So there are some I don't get to see every day, but when I spend time with them, it's quality time.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear what's wrong, what I can do better, what things are being ignored or overlooking in my end that I can do better for you.
Yeah.
uh, I try to bring that up, and that just create a little bit different. Invest on them, like just take them out for a dinner and hear what they have to say. I think that creates a difference, because they're going to tell you right away what's the problem, and then you
Yeah.
target that with a solution.
Yeah, because they feel more open and able to speak to you, especially if you're asking for feedback and you're taking that in, but also appreciating those small wins along the way and recognizing them. Because, like you said, a thank you is like, okay, but if you're taking the time to actually celebrate those small wins along the way, it keeps them motivated. It keeps them wanting to, continue to be open with you. And with field service managers that are, struggling with their team or to support them or that are having issues building that trust, what advice would you give to them?
Talk to your team. For my personal experience, I have never had a dream team. Like as you know, you always have challenges as a manager.
Right.
We will never have 100% high performer. But when from experience, I got a one time a team that they were a little bit, I'm gonna say rusty. Numbers were low, and I don't believe like we just need to wipe everybody and start over again. I
Yeah.
believe like I can talk to them. They can tell me what the problems are, and at that point, some of the problems came from the management. And
Mhm.
I said, well, let
Okay.
me make these changes in my end, but
Mhm.
I like to negotiate a lot. So
Yeah.
if you change this if I change this in my end, I
Yeah.
expect this from you. So my expectation for you are these ones, and your expectation for me are these ones. And
Yeah.
when you deliver to your team, they will deliver to you. That I can guarantee it. I know I told you this, but I'm going to say it again.
Mhm.
I strongly believe I'm a terrible boss, but I'm a great leader.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like to invest in my people and create
Mhm.
leaders in my team. A lot of ideas that come to me, I'm the one who execute them, but I'm not the one who actually have the idea. And so that tells me that my team has been talking to me when they have an idea and they say, "Hey, what about if we try this?" So well, let's give it a shot. Nobody has.
Right.
We can be the first ones, right?
Yeah.
So if one manager is struggling to perform because their team, the team is lacking, talk to them.
Yeah.
They will target what the problem is.
Absolutely. That's such good advice, just talking to your team. But I think also having an open mind, because some people I feel are resistant to feedback. And so that's a big part of allowing your team, if there are some things that you don't like or don't hear that they're giving you feedback on, you have to be open to receiving that, right? So, Yennefer, the last thing I want to ask you, I know that you're tokened the innovator at your company. What are your thoughts on AI and field service? Where do you see that shifting? How do you feel about AI and field service?
Scare.
Scared.
Well,
Why?
I guess AI is the new thing right now. That's the new
Yes.
toy a lot of companies want to have, but
Yeah.
I don't think people exactly know how to use this tool.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
kind of remind me when network, internet came up. Like everybody wanted to use it, they knew it was the future, but they didn't know how to implement it in their own
Mhm.
organization.
Right.
Um, I believe that will speed up a lot of processes. I believe a lot of companies are doing things right now like in the old way, like manually. And
Mhm.
yes, we get the results in maybe like 1 or 2 days, but with AI, we can do things such as like find people. Like when you're finding talent, like I'm also a hiring manager. For me, I'm still in old school. You might see me or someone day in a Starbucks giving my business card, trying to target talent.
Yeah.
Like I would love if that could be, put an AI, maybe put it like in Indeed or maybe LinkedIn, like this is
Yeah.
the profile of the candidate I'm looking for. Find it for me instead of me like going into this bunch of profiles and then expect somebody to respond to me. So that's just one example out of many I can give you. But
Yeah.
I do believe AI will be the future. I believe leaders have to take time in their agenda to see what is this thing that everybody's talking about and how can I
Yeah.
implement that in my daily basic. It might help in a daily task I have.
Mhm.
Um, but I've seen many. I've seen even some that the reply to your email. That one is pretty awesome because I receive a bunch of emails daily.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I'm really open for the new technology, especially with AI,
Right.
because I do believe that's the future.
I 100% agree with you. But Yennefer, it's been a pleasure having you here on Service Loop. I think that what you have to say is really going to spark a lot of conversations internally with other field service managers and their teams. Again, thank you so much for joining Service Loop.
Thank you.
Thank you.